Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Practical Chrome, the show dedicated to all things Chrome. That's right, if you've got Chrome on your Chromecast, if you've got Chrome on your mobile device, if you've got Chrome on your computer, whether that be on Linux or Mac or Windows, or if you have a Chromebook, which is the ultimate Chrome device, in my personal opinion, then this is the show for you. We're going to give you news, tips and tricks, all Chrome related. A lot of news this week, and then you know we're going to chat it up. We're going to talk about Chrome. I of course would like to welcome the two bearings that make me spin. Craig Tumleson and James Walvis. Craig, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, John. I'm doing great.
Good. Good. Mr. Walvis, how are you, sir?
I've been worse.
It's been worse. All right. Well, everyone, welcome and thanks for watching the show. We're gonna just dive into the news, take a look at some stuff. There was actually a plethora of news, a cornucopia, if you will, of news this week. Some things are big, some things are small. I'd like to go over all of them. We are going to pick a few hot topics, so to speak, and then move on to the little ones if we have time. So, to start off, though, I would like to jump on to the Gogo wireless. There's a little bit of a oopsie when it comes to Gogo wireless. If you're familiar with Gogo wireless, it's a wireless service that's provided on airplanes. It's a pay service that allows you to use a wireless device on an airplane and get yourself some internets while you're 30,000 feet up. Many Chromebooks were actually provided with vouchers as part of the purchase. When you received a Chromebook, that you could get some free vouchers. Well, there's a little bit of a sticky wicket out there with the Gogo. Craig, you're the one to break this wide open. Why don't you kind of tell the kids at home why Gogo's a no-no?
Sure. Absolutely, John. Gogo's a no-no. I like that. I'm going to use that. It's mine now. It belongs to me now. Okay, so the gist of this is James gets on an airplane. He takes his Chromebook. The airplane offers in-flight Wi-Fi powered by Gogo. James's Chromebook comes with 12 free Gogo passes. He decides to use one. He opens his device, connects, it uses the free pass. That part's seamless. However, when James goes to load up YouTube.com, Chrome gives him an error and says, "Oh, something's not right. We're not going to let you access YouTube." Now, the thing that's not right is usually James' connection to YouTube is secured. It uses SSL encryption. You don't need to know the technical details of that, but the gist is James' computer and Google servers are directly connecting to each other, and it's secured. No one in transit can read that data. When you load YouTube on a Gogo flight, however, Gogo's messing up that connection a little bit. Essentially, they're pretending to be Google. So rather than James making a secure connection with Google, he's making a connection to Gogo, and then Gogo is making a secure connection with Google. What that means is that James's traffic to Google can be read by Gogo as an intermediary. Generally, this is called a man-in-the-middle attack. It's typically used for spying and collecting data. Gogo has issued a statement saying that they are not storing the data. They're not denying that they're decrypting it, but they're not claiming to store it or to read it. They're saying that this is being used to detect when people are using streaming services such as YouTube and to put an end to watching YouTube videos on the flight, which is a violation of their terms of service. But it has privacy implication. It's bad for privacy. It's the bottom line. I apologize.
George Bush, spit it out.
I cannot speak tonight. I apologize.
Implications are
implications. Implications. Thank you, John. It has implications for the user's privacy, especially James, who has a lot of things to hide.
True that.
Basically, what it means is because YouTube is a Google service and they are impersonating all Google services, not just YouTube, anything you do with a Google service has the potential to be logged, read, or sent to somebody else, which means that your email's not secure. Nothing you do within a Google domain is secure. Thankfully, Chrome detects this and prevents you from acting when that behavior is present in the background. But if you're using a mobile device, if you're using an iPad running Safari to access YouTube, there are issues there. Thankfully, Chromebooks should be mostly okay. Ars Technica has the full story if you want more information. I suggest reading that before you board your next flight.
And here I thought it was safe to go to YouTube and look up how to hijack an airplane while on an airplane. Stupid Gogo.
I'm not touching that. Craig, thanks for the round the world round trip ticket on that story. I would like to mention one thing, and that is that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, but if we're looking at this and you're using your browser to understand if you're using, let's say, Firefox or some other browsers, what it should give you is your connection should be HTTPS, which would be green if everything was good. On most browsers, it'll give you like a yellow or a red if the HTTPS is not signed properly or signed with the wrong domain, so that way you'd know what's kind of going on. So that's another way people can find out if they're having a problem or not. Or if you had to hit proceed anyway, and it went during your connection to your website, and your browser was like, this is wrong, and you're like, hey, go ahead, we're good. I'm on Gogo. What could happen? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Oh, much things. So that was the first story of the evening. James, did you have any thoughts on that? I mean, is it an NSA snooping thing, or is this just Gogo trying to be shifty?
Well, first of all, everything is an NSA sneaky thing. I think it's weird that as far as we know, this is only happening to Google sites. I don't know why Gogo is targeting that. Maybe just because Google is really easy to spell, so when they had to make their fake certificates, they just put in star.google. I don't know. That's kind of weird. But keep an eye out. If you're using Gogo, don't think you're safe just because you're not going to Google sites. Make sure that if you get weird messages about connecting to a site that normally doesn't give you any problems, just know that if you proceed, you're probably being spied on.
Word. Agreed. All right. So next up, the Intel Easy Migration app makes moving files to Chromebooks simple. Now, I was kind of floored by this one. It's very interesting that I read the article. It's over on OMG Chrome, and definitely check that out. But the article, Joey does a really good job of kind of going over what the fact that Intel has been kind of really leading the pack when it comes to talking about Chromebooks, putting them out there on the market. The fact that they came up with the model, that little sample templated thing model of a Chromebook so that manufacturers could kind of jump on board quickly. I can't remember what they call that. It's escaping me. I didn't bring up Joey's article. But what Intel's done, though, is they've actually created an app that allows you to easily put your documents and pictures on Google Drive, so that way they're going to be available for you on your Chromebook. It's really cool. It's called the Intel Easy Migration Tool. It's available on iOS, Android, Mac, and Windows, and it allows you to easily upload all of your favorite documents quickly and easily directly to your Google Drive. It's pretty cool. James, have you had a chance to look at this at all?
I did, yeah. And at first it seemed kind of silly, but then I realized that's just because I've been so deep into Google's ecosystem that it made this sound kind of silly. But for someone who's not, this might actually be kind of a neat little tool. If I remember correctly, it'll do things like help you move your photos into Google Plus Photos, so you can access them with the Photos app on your Chromebook, things like that. I don't remember what all else it helps you move over. I think it'll help you move stuff over into Google Drive. Not really sure what else there is to move. I mean, they'll probably help you move your music too, I guess. But I think I think it's kind of a neat little tool that might help some people make the move who otherwise wouldn't. Maybe they would think it's too much of a hassle to move all their files over, and so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this will help some of the more timid users make the switch.
Agreed. I think your point of the fact that you, me, and Craig, especially a great deal of the community out there, might already know or have a lot of their documentation, a lot of their photos, everything like that. Maybe they're already in the Google ecosystem because they have an Android device or something like that. But for people that own just picked up a Chromebook, it might be kind of daunting to be like, well, I need to get all my stuff up there. Do I want to do the Google Sync app? Do I want to da-da-da? Well, no, instead there's this Intel one that's just like, 1, 2, 3, click, all your stuff's up, up in Google Drive. Craig, what are your thoughts on the fact that Intel, I would say the primary chip manufacturer in the country, right? Especially when it comes to laptops and desktops, right? So you've got the ARM manufacturers as well, but you've also got the AMD. But Intel's like one of the major ones, right? It's the big brand name that everybody knows. Let's put it that way. And they're pushing out this application set, and I say set because they built it for iOS, Mac, Windows, everything, to get all of your stuff into Google. So Intel's completely 100% buying into say, hey everybody, here's an app that will make your Chromebook easier to use and get you on-ramped faster into the Chromebook experience.
I'm not in love with it. I'll be honest. The reason is the needless making it exclusive needlessly, essentially. I don't see. I see the benefit for Intel for making it Intel exclusive, but it's hard to root for Intel in terms of the larger ecosystem when they're trying to basically make it more difficult for people that don't choose an Intel Chromebook to get started with a Chromebook. To me, that sends off the wrong vibe. I completely understand them building a tool to make migration easier. That makes sense. And from a business standpoint, I get why it's Intel exclusive, but I'm not happy about it. I think opening it up to ARM users too would be beneficial. I think it would make them seem like they're taking the high road instead of just forcing everybody else out. But and make no mistake, Intel has not been a big fan of Chromebooks from the beginning. They got into Chromebooks heavily defensively. ARM was taking the world by storm with the Samsung Series 3, the best-selling Chromebook to date, and that's when they started subsidizing Haswell. That's when they got serious. I don't see Intel's Chromebook movement as anything but defensive. They're afraid that because of the demographics Chromebooks target, ARM stands a chance of winning market share. That's why they're defensive. That's why they're releasing apps like this. It's hard to see it as anything but a defensive business strategy. And in terms of the overall Chrome ecosystem, the fewer of those, the better. We need apps that work on all Chromebooks, not just Intel ones.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't this app actually works on, not necessarily on the Chromebook, right? Doesn't it work on, it works...
You download it to Windows, I think.
Right, well, yeah, I think, Craig, so this app, it actually works on the other components, other products, like your Android device, like your iOS device, like your Windows machine, not Mac actually, according to Joe here. But what it does is it's actually a one-click app. It has Intel branded, but I think all it does is really just push all your data into Google Docs.
Some of those apps, yes, but the Chrome extension that you install on the Chromebook does check for an Intel processor. And there, Joey has a big screenshot of that. It says, successfully authenticated. Thank you for using a Chromebook with Intel inside. Please proceed with Intel Easy Migration. Now, funny story, I did actually check that on the HP 11. It verified. It let me through. So, but the intention is clear. The intention is clear, and that's what bothers me. So the core implementation aside.
Right. So there's no programming behind that note. It's possible they fixed it since, but
I installed the extension on the HP 11, and it gave me the thanks for authenticating.
But what does the extension do?
I don't know. My thought is probably bookmarks, maybe.
Yeah, but why would you need? Now I'm just frustrated. So, from the standpoint of, and James brought this up earlier, from the standpoint of coming from us, I'm like, neat app, but all my stuff's already on Google, so I get the whole Chromebook thing. So, but I think the point of the fact that the new people, but where are they going to find this app though? I mean, unless they go, find an article about, if you probably type in, you go on Google and you type in Chromebook migration, data migration, or something like that, you might find it, you might land on it, but it's not like Intel's advertising this nationally, being like, here's an app to get you on your Chromebook right away.
Well, I would not be shocked if they didn't include a marketing flyer with their next generation of Intel devices. You buy a Chromebook, there's a little sticker sheet in the box.
Good point.
It would make sense.
It would. You're right. You're right. All right. So that's. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting story out there. So, but let's move on a little bit. I want to get onto the how Chrome OS is going to be changing a little bit for you, right? And there's two stories along with that, and one is going to go on to the how things are going to look. It's the first piece of how things are going to look. I think the most important one is the fact that we're getting a material design look to the header bar on hosted apps. So if people are familiar, you have a hosted application, which means that it's actually out there on the interwebs, and it's an application that's really a web app, which means that everything is really just out there on the web. And when you open the app, the quotes there, air quotes, you're really opening a website, right? But with a hosted app, you're actually going to now get a material design type bar that gives you some unique pieces of information, as well as more of a context menu when you right click, and it even has like little 3 dots to give you a little menu icon that you can probably edit, possibly even in the hosted app manifest file. Well, when they program it as a file. So it's very, very cool. If you get a chance, take a look at the article. Craig, have you taken a look at it? Have you? I don't even know. You might even be on the dev channel and be able to take a look at how it runs. But or I think it's coming out soon, right? I think Joey said that. He said that it's coming. It's going to be available soon on the dev channel. Maybe it's just only on Canary. I'm not sure.
It's live on the dev channel now, but you need to flip a few flags.
Okay. Sounds good. I can flip some flags. I'm not on the dev channel, though. Let's see here. But I think the fact that it gives you, like we said, the HTTPS, kind of like symbols to let you know what's going on there, so that way you're not. It tightens it, but it also it makes it an app look more like an app, but it also gives you all the relevant information that you need because it is basically a website. Are we nodding our what? Did we nod? Audio show.
What do you want from us, John? I think I don't have many strong opinions about this because I don't use this feature much. I don't use a lot of web apps in their own windows yet. I'm starting to migrate over. I've just actually started pulling my Google Docs into their own window instead of being in a tab, and that's a little jarring for me because I'm so used to living in tabs, and now you're separating things out again. It's kind of ping-pong, bounce back and forth. I don't have a lot to say about it. I think adding the security status of the website, whether it's SSL secured or not, is helpful, especially if you're going to watch YouTube at a frame while on a Gogo flight. It's good to have that information present. But yeah, other than that, I don't have many strong opinions.
James, any thoughts on that at all?
I have also no strong opinions.
He has no strong opinions.
I don't think I use a single, well, Google Keep seems to operate in its own little tab.
That's
That's about it. Everything else I do is tabs in Chrome.
I thought I thought the keep one was a interesting. I thought today was today.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought that keep.
Yeah. Keep is a packaged app.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, the web pulls me away. Yes. It's a packaged app, so it uses whatever API to update it locally, so that way it can run offline. But it can be a web app. I mean, when you look at the website, you're like, wow, it looks just like a packaged app. But no, that is actually a packaged app.
Yep.
Yep, there's that. In case people want to know, a packaged app, again, is a application that usually is available to run offline. Most of the code, while web-based technologies, is still local. And then if you're a hosted app, it really is kind of more or less just a bookmark. And Google is, with what that article we were just talking about, has changed the way things look a little bit. So, okay. So, real quickly, just so we can open this up real quick to debate, I wanted to bring this up because we were talking about how things look. So, font changes, right? And I think we've talked about some different rendering things that Google's done recently around, excuse me, around what they've done with Windows and using some new display technologies to make things a little crisper. But now they're changing the font, and they're switching from what they have now, which I've got to now bring up the name of it, to Roboto.
Noto Sans.
Noto Sans, right? Thank you, James. So, and from again, this is again from OMG Chrome, and Joey does a really good job of actually putting some side-by-side pictures available for you, so you can take a look at what it's going to look like when they switch from. Or I don't know if they're going to switch from. If they do, okay. Quick take, yes or no, Craig? Have you seen the pictures, and is it a yes or no for you?
The picture Joey has?
Yeah, like, would you say I want that font or no?
Yeah. I like it consistent. So if I'm using the font on Android, I use Lollipop. I would like the same font face across my devices.
James, yes or no?
I wouldn't notice, really. I also think that he messed up on one of his pictures because the fonts look identical in one of his comparisons, but in the other one they're noticeably different. So I don't know if that's a mistake or not.
He may have jacked them up, honestly. But here's my problem with it. Now, Craig, you're talking about, keeping things same, right? Keeping things identical, keeping things to one ecosystem where if you're in Chrome, you're in Chrome. If you're using Android, you're using, Google product, you're going to have the same font. I don't like the font. If you look at it, just for instance, really quickly, if you look at the first image or second images in Joey's thing, and it's one of the screenshot images, and you can also see it in the top image that he just shows the differences between the fonts by typing out, Google Chrome OS and stuff. The font is much tighter, and it's much, it's probably the same font size, but you can see that the spacing is a lot less. It's more clubbed together, so to speak, a little bit tighter. Honestly, I would have trouble. It blurs together for me. Again, I'm only 35, but I do wear glasses, and I would like things to not be closer together, so that it's harder to read and make it more of a blob in my vision than it is where I believe that the Noto Sans, the spacing is really good and crisp on the letters, where as with the Roboto, it's a lot tighter. And on the second image, you can see where it says screenshot taken. You can see that click to view is actually, for me, harder to read. The word click actually kind of blends together as one big blob.
I agree. I think the Noto is way easier to read.
So from an easier to read standpoint, I don't like Roboto, but that's just me, I guess.
I did see that somebody, and it may have been on Reddit, pointed out that they might be using the old version of Roboto. Pure speculation because I didn't follow up with it. But if that's the case, and the new version that's in Lollipop it does not match this version, it may still be tweaked. So keep that in mind, because they did make some. I think it's gone through a couple major revisions now, due to usability feedback and things like that. So keep an open mind. It's not finalized yet. It hasn't hit stable.
Word. I mean, yeah, you can see the same thing in his final image, I think is what it is, above caveats and opinions. He's got the two where he just basically opened up the menu at the bottom, the menu tray in Chrome OS. And again, I think that I can read things much easier with Notice Hands. I like it a lot better. There's just the spacing so much nicer. Anyway. But everyone take a look at that. Head over to OMG Chrome. He's got some great images to kind of show the difference, to showcase the difference. So that's what's changing visually with Chrome OS. The final hot topic is something that we have. The article itself is actually this one's from Chrome Story. Didn't sign over Chrome Story, who does, of course, an excellent job. Blogging about the biz, blogging about the Chromebook, blogging about the Chrome OS, and it's a great article. It's funny to read it because he makes this comment about the fact that it was a GitHub user, just doing this thing called Crouton, and then he corrects himself. He has a little part where he corrects, that he got a comment from saying he's not just really a GitHub user. It's one of the engineers at Google, and this is spare time he does Crouton. And we did our Crouton challenge, so I did want to bring it up. Craig, I think you're the one that posted the article, and I think that it's important that we bring it up. Even Dinsan mentions that he doesn't use Crouton. So briefly, before I will let James, have you looked into this one at all? I know you're a Crouton fiend.
Yeah, I have. I want to do it. However, I hate Linux because I don't know how to use it. It's my fault I hate it. I don't know how to use it. I have my Crouton set up the way I want so that I can play the stupid video game that I wanted to play that you can't play in Chrome because it requires Java because apparently this is 1990s. And so what I don't want to do is undo my Crouton and redo it and have to figure out how did I get Mozilla installed, how did I get Java installed, how did I get this stupid video game working, because it was kind of a bear. I didn't know what I was doing. So I really want to run Ubuntu in a tab, but for now I will just keep my current method, which is pushing 4 buttons on a keyboard to get back to Linux. I really don't think running it in the tab would save me a ton of time or whatever. I think it would just be kind of cool to not have to switch back and forth. But maybe someday I'll get brave enough to try to reset that up.
You have to tell us what game it is.
Gladly. This game needs to get more popular. It's a game that used to be called Ark a long time ago, and I played it in high school. It's good for attack, retrieve, capture. It's a very simple little game where you're little round spaceships trying to capture the other team's flag. It is now operating under the name Armor Critical. So if you go to armorcritical.com, it's completely free, runs in the browser, assuming you have Java.
I was going to say.
And it's really a fun game. But that's the only reason I have Crouton installed on my Chromebox, is so that I can play that one game. So, and it was kind of a pain getting that going. So I'm not really looking to go through that hassle again. I have it set up. I don't want to mess that up.
It's so cool, man. Well, so what I was going to say was before we went into it was what Crouton is, just in case people don't know, and that is that Crouton is a method to it's dicey. You have to put your Chromebook there's the dev channel, and then there's developer mode. So there's a scary piece there, and then you have to install Linux kind of side by side in a sense, a little bit, kind of meshed. And then that way you can use a Linux, a couple different versions of Linux, a couple different distributions are available through Crouton. And that way you can run things like Java, Skype, right? So where you're running
FileZilla is nice.
What is it?
FileZilla. It's nice to have that program.
FileZilla, yes, definitely. Or Armor Critical.
Or Armor Critical. Crouton is actually really easy to put on your Chrome device. It's just if you don't know how to use Linux, like I don't know how to use Linux, you're completely lost at that point. Getting it on is mostly just waiting and watching the screen as stuff flies by. There's a couple command prompts you throw in, and that's about it. But once you get into Linux, if you don't know what you're doing, there's no point doing it.
Craig, what are your thoughts on people installing Ubuntu and then possibly just copying and pasting things into the command line that they find online?
That's me.
There's no surprise there. People have been doing that for decades. So that's not shocking. I find the whole thing interesting. The day it no longer requires dev mode is when I'll probably get down to it.
Exactly.
I'm just not willing to load up dev mode and give up on verified boot. I really like verified boot, so.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see that. I mean,
probably not. Yeah.
Unless they decide to actually like make the Chromebooks come with a Ubuntu as a dual boot or something. Like I don't see any way of getting around putting Linux on here without getting rid of verified boot.
Well, in theory, you could do a virtual machine and native client or something, but the performance overhead would be outrageous compared to Crouton, which shares the same kernel.
I mean, you could take the heart of Chrome OS, which is the separation of the user land from the thing, and then just literally put it on a version of Ubuntu and just make it so that the GDM and all that stuff that you're signing into goes directly through the same protocols that get you with Chrome OS. Then you use the same user land space as Chrome OS inside your Ubuntu instance, but you'd have to pick a distribution probably, or yeah, that's kind of it's uber complicated and probably never gonna happen. Yeah, it's never gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen. But yeah, so dev mode is the scary one. Again, dev channel, something totally different, much easier to get to. You can easily flip a flag, click a button on your Chromebook to get to dev channel, but dev mode is something completely different. So, anywho, so I thought that was interesting that Crouton can be running in a tab. So. I agree with James. I think the quick switch, getting full screen mode, is more important at this point. Although the FileZilla is a good point. It's kind of like if you were to be able to have just like FileZilla be one of your tabs, because you'd full screen FileZilla inside of the Ubuntu instance, and then you could just be, you know what I mean. So some apps that you definitely couldn't have, you could just, you know what I mean, like back and forth. Yeah.
Well, luckily, I mean, we have SFTP in the Chrome Web Store, which costs like $2 or $3. Admittedly, FileZilla is free, but it's basically a FileZilla clone. I mean, it's set up and works exactly like FileZilla does. So, but it's nice to, I guess, have FileZilla because it's free. Save yourself $2 or $3.
We'll have to wait and see when the new file system provider API hits, and you can start to mount drives inside the Files app. We'll have to see if the FileZilla project or someone else comes up with a way to do FTP mounted within Files. I think that would probably be the best user interface workflow. Just an extension you install, it mounts your FTP server right in Files. You can open up apps to edit, and then it just handles the connection inside the native file manager.
That'd be cool. So, like, I'd be able to open my server from my Files app, you're saying, and drop files in there as if it was an external drive?
That's the theory. I don't know the details, but I do know beta channel. I think it's available. I think they're targeting milestone 41. I think at the start it's going to be more virtual, so things like Dropbox, Mega, being able to mount those. But I've heard that they're going to rework how zip files operate, and they're going to mount those using the new file system provider API. And zip file password support is on the way.
What about opening zip files? Is that on the way?
Listen, you can open zip files.
Only the beta channel currently has a bug. It's only the beta channel. The fix has been committed. The next beta channel update will fix it.
Just put Crouton on and open them there.
That's right.
Easy peasy.
Crack open your archive, buddy.
I do like that the when you're in Crouton, it shares your downloads folder. So, when I unzip a folder in Crouton, I can pop back into Chrome OS and it's there in the same folder. I forget that though, so I think in my brain that all the stuff I'm downloading in Linux is just taking up Linux, and then I get back into Chrome OS and I get that little message that says my Files app is almost full and I should delete stuff.
That's a good point. What, even on your 720p, you're filling that thing up? Man. On this machine, I use Webflow for one of my websites, and it's like a web builder, but it builds the website using divs and containers and stuff, so it doesn't look like a stupid Wix or GoDaddy website builder site. It actually looks like you built it with code. And so once I make edits in that program, I download the code, which it downloads in a zip file, downloads the entire website into a zip file. And so every time I make a change to my website, I'm adding a zip file to my computer of my entire website. So I really just need to go and delete some of the old ones because I don't need, the last 20 edits that I've made to my website stored on my computer as a full website. So I just need to go in and clear some stuff out, but that's what's taking up most of my space, I think, is that. Word. All right, so that was kind of like all of the hot topics that we talked about. Crouton, I think, is definitely been a hot topic on my brain. So what I'd like to do is really quickly, I want to kind of showcase some of the hardware articles that have come out over the last couple of weeks. And for those who don't know, we have actually been off for about 2 weeks because holidays. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I actually thought you might be dead, John.
John's just lazy. No, I took a vacation from everything. I mean, I didn't crack open my work at all, for my work. And then I didn't do anything Chrome related. I ended up finding a video game called Terraria, and I basically played that for like 2 straight weeks. On mobile and on Windows. So probably literally like the coolest game I've found in a long time.
Does it need Java?
No, it does require. It's not web-based though, so it does require some libraries or something. So you can't run it in Chrome. You can run it in
Linux.
No, it doesn't actually. So, yeah, but it's a great little game, 16-bit. Graphics. It's like Minecraft-esque, but more of a mid-90s feel, and a little bit more fleshed out, kinda. So it's interesting. So anyway, on the hardware side of things, and really quickly, I want to do a segue with this segue, which is that I'm not on a Chromebook right now. I'm actually on a Windows machine and a Linux machine. Doing the show through Chrome, but not my Chromebook. I know. It's because I lent out my Chromebook. A friend of mine wanted to have his 13-year-old daughter try out Chrome OS and a Chromebook because he wanted to get her a laptop, and he's been a Windows guy for a long time through necessity more than anything. But and so in the hardware view, he asked me a couple times about what to buy. And so I really wanted to quickly get your guys' gauge on the whole ARM versus Intel war. I I don't think I know. I steered him away from ARM because I'm still concerned about the things that don't work with ARM and even Google's own products, right? Like the Google Music stuff. So before we get into hardware, which we're just going to skim these articles real quick, but what do you guys think about the whole, like, I mean, what's available out there? There's so many models. I mean, they're crushing it right now with different models. There's so much stuff out there, and even the older models, some of them are still available. So, two questions for you guys around hardware. What would you recommend right now for someone that is, you know, just wants to get a Chromebook? Just wants one, right? And then also the ARM versus Intel. Like, what do you think? Craig, start with you. Right now, not knowing what they're going to do with it. Like, seriously. Just someone says, Craig, what Chromebook should I get?
The Acer C720, by far. It's a good mix. It's a little out of date, but it's a good mix of processing power and price. And those are the two biggest things that matter to the average person. It's how much is it going to cost me and what can I throw at it. Not knowing what they're going to throw at it, price is the most important factor.
And ARM versus Intel.
I'm excited to see what ARM does next. I think I'm glad to see that now we've got a little bit of competition between Samsung and NVIDIA. I think Samsung making the only ARM processors for Chromebooks was a little stale, so I'm happy to see some competition there. I think NVIDIA does some really cool stuff with their mobile tablets, so I think that they have a chance at raising the bar for what it takes to be an ARM processor on a Chromebook. I think Intel should watch their back, truthfully, but really, truthfully, I want to see some AMD units.
Ooh, look at you. Look at you with your AMD. All right. James, same questions to you.
I want to see some Atom Chromebooks. I'm kidding.
I was gonna say that shit is. I mean, if you want to make an egg with your with your Chromebook. But so first question is what model do you suggest?
I would recommend the Acer C720. I would recommend getting the 4 GB one if possible, but I am a user of the 2 GB one and I enjoy it.
All right, and then ARM versus Intel. I don't even know why I asked you, but go ahead.
John, you know, I think ARM is the greatest thing that's ever happened to computers. As a consumer, I literally don't know why you would buy an ARM Chromebook unless it had other features that you wanted, like the HP 11 with its nice screen and keyboard that everybody loves and its unique design. The ARM has an advantage of being very low power chip and being fanless, but Intel has the Bay Trail chips, which also are low power, fanless, and they get great battery life. And with the Intel chip, you don't have to worry about, you know, the one-off situations like Google Music not being able to upload music, which isn't that big of a deal. It's really the only thing I can think of right now that people are complaining about they can't do with an ARM Chromebook. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal, but as a consumer, I would have to recommend, you know, get an Intel chip. Either get the Celeron or i3 because they have better performance, or if you want the low power or fanless design, go with the Bay Trail if you're okay with it being a little slower. But I'd have to recommend, I can't think of a single reason to recommend an ARM chip, all other things about the Chromebook being the same.
Agreed. Now here's where I ended up standing with this, was that I said the same things you guys did. I was like, you need to find a 720 with 4 gigs of RAM. Because I lent them a 720, they liked it, and so I didn't want to recommend anything else. He went with, but I did say to go ahead and go with, if you're going to go with Samsung, if you're going to go with an ARM, go with the NVIDIA, because I think the pairing of the NVIDIA graphics processor and an ARM chip is a no-brainer when it comes to the ARM stuff. So that was it. So he ended up going with the
Toshiba?
No. He ended up going with the Acer. I don't even know what the model is called now. The CB3.
CB3?
Yeah.
The new touchscreen or the non-touchscreen?
Non-touchscreen, just for savings on money, so that way he spent he spent a cool $2, and got himself a Bay Trail white model, right, which I think that his daughter's gonna love. And so you're looking at fanless, you're looking at very compact, lightweight design, and I think she's going to be able to get everything she needs out of it. She can still play videos. She might not have all the graphics power of the NVIDIA chipset, but she's going to be able to do a lot of good stuff with it. And I think, especially for school, which is the whole point, right? School and everything else. Still didn't touch it.
Value your opinion.
What's that?
Clearly, this guy doesn't value your opinion.
No, he just couldn't find
none of your recommendations except for the Acer.
No. But here's what's the funny thing is. He had a budget. He was so under budget when he called me to say I'm buying the white one, this model, blah, blah, blah. He's like, and listen, the Chromecast, I'm going to pick one up. I'm just like, okay, cool. Good. He's like, do you like it? I'm like, we love it. So he ended up being so under budget that he ended up buying a Chromecast as well. So it's a win-win. So, all right. So that was just my quick segue into the hardware department. I'm gonna jump through these really quickly, and then I just want to get your guys' take on them. I'll end with a great article from OMG Chrome, but first thing is touchscreen HP Chromebook 14 goes on sale soon. Then you have the cloned for success HP Stream Mini is $179 on Windows Chrome box, which is an interesting comment. And then the 15-inch Acer Chromebook made official, and then so that's 15 inches nice. And then Acer Chromebook 13 Touch Edition goes on sale. So you've got a number of things going on here with all these hardware articles, right? And they're all from OMG Chrome. We are OMG Chrome heavy, by the way, this week, gentlemen. I'm sure Joey loves that. But, I'm just saying.
I don't think Joey watches this show.
No, he doesn't. That's okay. But it is because he's also reported on pretty much everything that we want to talk about. So it's more of a credit to him for his great site. So, quick take on my thoughts here on everything that's coming down the pike. And then the other two articles that he had was what to expect from the Broadwell Intel chips that are coming out, and then also he's got a great thing about James, you're killing me. And then the Chromebook's top-selling Christmas laptop this year, says Amazon, which is another awesome note there. Craig, again, I'll start with you. When it comes to all the stuff that you're seeing now with, we just talked about the fact that there's almost a glut of Chromebooks at this point. When we started this show in early 2014, there was a handful of models in the past and a handful of models coming up, and now we're at the point where you got a lot to choose from. It's
all good news, John. It's good news all day long. I love it.
ADL, baby.
I think the most interesting thing is in Joey's article about what to expect, mentions that the Intel announcement, they said that there will be a Broadwell Chrome base coming this spring. And that's interesting to me because we've only seen one other Chrome base. It was the LG model. It didn't sell very well. It was overpriced and underpowered. And I think Chrome OS in an all-in-one form factor makes a lot of sense. It really does. Libraries, school computer labs. There's a lot of sense there if you can price it right and if you can make it stand up to the tasks that it's going to have thrown at it. The rest of the news, it's iffy to me. The touchscreen HP 14 G3, don't avoid it at all costs. Please stay away. It's an awful model.
That's the ARM one, isn't it?
It's the original ARM one.
Oh.
Yeah, just repackaged. It would be like buying a Samsung Series 5 with an Atom processor, but with a touchscreen. Stay away. Don't do it. The Windows Chromebox clone is interesting. I think HP is just in a money grab state. They're repackaging everything they can and trying to sell it to everybody they can. I've heard that their leadership's a bit wishy-washy at the moment. This might be some signs of that. I don't know. Different show, I think. Different show. The 15-inch Acer, way too big. That's massive. You don't need a 15-inch laptop that weighs 5 pounds. Are you kidding me? Just staple it to your desk and make it a desktop.
3 years ago, that's all they sold.
I know. I know.
That's all they sold was 5-pound, 15-inch.
I'll tell you who I blame. Samsung for making their phones bigger. It led us down the path. It led us down the path.
Even iPhones are now 6 inches, for goodness sake.
Don't even get me started. And then the Acer Chromebook 13 Touch, it was completely expected. I think they announced it earlier anyway, that they were going to have a touch screen model at some point. Completely expected and probably a good purchase depending on if that's something you're looking for. I still say the Acer C720P if you're going for a touch model because the price and the build quality and the subsidized Haswell processor. You can't beat that combination today. In 6 months, you probably won't be able to find one.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll be selling mine.
That's
good.
James is like, 300. Can I get 300? Can I get 300? That's a $300 bill all day long. All right, James, what about you? What are your thoughts on the, I mean, Craig's right. It's all good news. But what are your thoughts on the fact that, you know, that we do have now a plethora? I'm getting a question of what model. I mentioned a model that, one of the things I told him was, whatever model you buy for your daughter's going to love that model most of all out of all of the models from there on out, right? I think, because, I mean, she's never going to have, like, 4 or 5 of them like we've had, where we've had been able to, like, play with them. But everybody that I've talked to that owns a Chromebook, their first Chromebook is, like, literally their first love. So I think that whatever he buys her, and he, like I said, he did get the one, I think that she's just going to love that model. But, James, you know, with all this stuff going on, I mean, what are your thoughts on, you know, you started out back in the day, you know, at Best Buy with just a couple of models sitting there, and you had to tell people to stay away because of certain lacking. And now we're at the point where I don't know what to recommend because they all work. They all work pretty well, and they all have different feature sets. What are your thoughts on this new hardware universe?
Well, I think it's obviously great news to see a lot of different models come out. I still have yet to see that perfect Chromebook, which I suppose, I mean, besides the Pixel, which costs way more than I would ever spend on anything besides a car. I haven't seen... I don't think I've ever spent $1,200.
Coming up in his 89 Crown Vic is James Wallace.
Seriously. You know, I've seen a lot of people clamoring for a Chromebook that has 4 gigs of RAM, Haswell, Celeron, or better, full 1080p IPS screen, backlit keyboard, you know, for $600 or less. That we haven't seen yet, but there are a lot of different options now. You know, back in the day, I used to complain that all Chromebooks were the same. But that's not true anymore. You have the ridiculous 15-inch screen now, which, come on. You have more ARM processors, like Craig said, not just being made by Samsung. We have the Tegras out now, and even Samsung is making more different ARM chips with their octo-core whatevers. We got more models are coming with touchscreens. So it's all good news. I mean, clearly we here want to see Chrome OS succeed because we're highly invested in it. Myself, I don't use Windows anymore, so if Chrome OS were to suddenly Google just quit, I'd be pretty upset. So I'm clearly interested in seeing Chrome OS succeed. The more models, the better. Still holding out for that one Magic Chromebook that has everything everybody wants for, you know, not $1,200, but someday. The HP box thing is kind of cool, I guess. I mean, we saw it coming. We've already seen Chromebook clones with these cheap Windows laptops. It's not surprising that to see a $179, Windows machine that's basically a Chromebox, but it runs Windows. It's another case of it'll be interesting to see how well Windows runs on a $200 or $180 machine. Probably not well, but we're not into bashing things on Practical Chrome, so.
Except for ARM chips, Windows, Apple.
Oh, who am I kidding? What else are we talking about? A bunch of new models, the HP Stream. I forget.
It's too much, right? That's
It
what
is
I'm
too
saying.
much. Craig
That's
talked
right.
about like 6 things.
I know. Well,
I forgot all of them.
let's take that as a segue, all right? Let's jump into. I'm gonna give us 5 minutes left to not send us over too far over an hour. Let's talk about some Chromecast news, right? So I mentioned the friend of mine. He went into Best Buy this evening, purchased a Chromebook for his daughter, and was like, "I saved so much money, I'm going to pick up a Chromecast." Let's give him some news of what's going on in regard to that. And honestly, a little bit of a segue to that is that he is Windows when it comes to his machines, but he's an entirely 100%, I think except for one child, an iOS family. So here you have him saying, well, should I get a Chromecast? Yeah, because a lot of the iOS apps now offer, the app comes with Chromecast support, even though it's an Apple device. It's got the app can decide to do Chromecast. So that being said, there's also the new material design revamp of the iOS app, which if you have the Android app, you also have seen this before as well. Joey does a good write-up of that, showing you kind of what's going on. Sony's new 4K TVs are going to come with Chromecast installed, as well as Seagate's Personal Cloud and Acer's new projectors will also support internally the Chromecast. We had discussed this when Chromecast really started rolling out. That one of the goals from Google was to get the Chromecast pre-installed hardware, software, all that jazz directly into a TV. Craig, you've raised your finger, sir.
Google Cast.
Google Cast.
Chromecast is the dongle. Google Cast is the platform.
And
I did check. I did check with the recent announcements that you're about to get to. The article I wrote was December 2013. Is when I called that.
Booyah.
Boom.
Booyah indeed, sir. Booyah indeed. So we've got the Google Cast, cracking out there into devices now. Of course, they're already talking. They already have a good relationship with Acer, but now Sony gonna pop it in there. Android TV and Chromecast built in. And then the final thing, and this is actually from Dinson at chromestory.com, and this is the Chromecast for audio cast-ready speakers. I know that we've seen a couple of hacks over the past year where people have taken a Chromecast dongle and added a few extra pieces, and then boom, they have their Google Music playing out to speakers. Right? We've seen that before, right? But it looks like, and I'm reading right from the article because I haven't had a chance to read this fully. But the Google has announced Google Cast for audio, a Google Cast variant built just for audio. Chromecast brings audio and video, and with Google Cast for audio, you will see a wave of new internet-ready speakers that will fetch music directly from the web, like Chromecast. That is pretty darn sexy. James, you are you're a music guy. You pay for the service from Google, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I do.
You jumped in, both feet. You're ready to go. And here we have Google Cast, which is the audio I guess this is Google Cast 4 audio, which embeds the same technology behind the Chromecast into speakers, soundbars, and AV receivers. Just like Chromecast, simply tap the cast button in your favorite music or radio app on Android, iOS, or the web, and select Google Cast Ready Speaker to get the party started. I mean, I think you even discussed this, that you wanted to do this back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah, what I would like to see rather than a speaker that connects to Google Cast, I would rather see a dongle that I can plug into my own speakers and cast music to it. I don't need more speakers. I have pretty nice speakers in my living room. I have pretty nice speakers in my man cave poker room, and it's kind of annoying that I have to turn my TV on to listen to music. So it'd be kind of nice if I could just plug in a dongle to my speakers and cast music to those already. To be honest, I probably won't be buying a set of these Google Cast speakers. I think it's a cool idea. Sonos, there's other things that do this. Apple, I think, has a similar solution. Sonos has their little deal speakers you buy and put an app on your phone and stream music to them. So it's definitely something that's been done and people have been paying money for it, but I'd rather just have a $15 or $20 dongle that I can plug into my own speakers.
Right, or plug in right to your receiver. Craig, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think James is missing out on an opportunity here to build another room.
Very small room.
Well, that makes the most sense to me.
It's a lean-to. It's just going to be a lean-to. Just get it done.
Right. Yeah, put a roof on it, call it a day. I like the idea. James mentioned Apple has AirPlay. Sonos does their own thing. It'll be useful. There was talk that some of the companies that are going to make these speakers may bring the Google Cast technology retroactively to their current product line with a firmware update. Perfect. If they do that, that'd be brilliant. I like the idea of a dongle. I don't know that Google's working on that. A lot of people on the announcement post commented and said a dongle would be best because, like James said, a lot of people already own speakers. I don't. I thought I did. Where'd they go? Oh, okay. I know where they went. Yeah, that would be nice. Honestly, for me, I would probably buy the speaker if I was going to, rather than a dongle, because I don't have nice speakers. But for a lot of people that have already made that investment, a dongle's perfect. If Google doesn't, I'm sure somebody will. The Chromecast isn't really anything special. We know how it works. The Google Cast platform's available for partners. If they're going to embed the technology in TVs and speakers, chances are you could make a makeshift dongle. You could probably fire up a Raspberry Pi and do it if you really wanted to somehow. So I don't think it's special. I think we'll probably see it long term as the platform becomes more open. The only other thing to note is that because this is an addition to the platform and not something new, there is no limited selection of apps this time. It should be any app that currently is Chromecast ready will work.
Nice.
That's a good point, because they're touting this as a way to play Google Music, but you should be able to play anything that has audio. I mean, that also has Chromecast support, Google Cast support. Say, you could listen to Netflix on your new speakers.
There you go. All right. Well, I just don't know why they don't just have an output port on the next Chromecast and just get it done. That way you either have HDMI or you do the output through you know what I mean? Like, all you have to do is modify that dongle slightly. There's not really much room left in it, but if you can modify it slightly just to have that way you hook up the USB power, and then you either plug it into a TV with HDMI, or you plug in an aux, headphone jack thing. You know what I mean?
Yes. In theory, you could make. Okay, so you know the female HDMI ports?
What?
No, stick with me. You could make one of those with just two audio lines out of it, that wouldn't, and then you would just plug it, instead of plugging your Chromecast into the TV, you would just plug it into that. That would be perfect. That's what you're describing, right?
Yes, it's 100% what I'm describing. Yes. But you'd have to come up with a way to be able to, for people that don't want to, like, let's say you buy it because you want to hook it up to your speaker system and you don't have a TV with HDMI. How do you get it onto your Wi-Fi?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Right, so you have that aspect of it that you'd have to figure out.
It's easy to get it on Wi-Fi. When it asks you if you see the code, just say yes.
Just say yes.
It's not going to know that you're lying and you don't actually see the code on your TV.
You're funny. If you're in an apartment complex, not funny. Because
nobody lives in those anymore, John. Those are so Europe 1990.
That's right. Yeah, they're flats. Everybody lives in
houses now.
Actually, no. They have Chromecast guest mode now. You don't even need to be on the same Wi-Fi network.
Well, what if you extended guest mode to use it so that if you tap the button like 3 consecutive times, it would do a harmonic that would only link the right Chromecast with your stuff?
Yeah, and then you would just pass the Wi-Fi credentials directly to the device via Bluetooth, and then the device would take care of logging in.
I wish we were all just engineers sitting around a table at Google trying to figure this out ourselves. We're not. So that's the news. That's all that's fit to print here on Practical Chrome. Everyone, thanks for watching this show. Thanks to, of course, Joey and Dinson at OMG Chrome and Chrome Story, respectively. We thank them very much. And again, everyone, thanks for watching. Craig, any last words? And also, where can people find you on the interwebs?
People can find me all over the interwebs. Unfortunately, I'm everywhere. Specifically, you can find me on Google+ or the product forums. As for final words, I'm not really a fan of final words.
Mr. Welbus, any final words and salutations? No. Just a heavy sigh from the Welbus. So, my name is John Hoffman, as it says at the bottom of the screen, and you can find me on places, but I will not respond because I just simply don't have the time anymore. But what I do care is I care. I care about everybody out there. I care. You know what I care about? I care about James's nose hairs, which you can see really well right now. I care about the fact that that the other two gentlemen on the other end of this hangout really care. They do care about the guy that I talked to, the friend of mine with the 13-year-old daughter, and recommending a proper Chromebook, because it's good stuff, and it's worth talking about, and we're glad to be here talking about it, and we're glad you were watching. So, everybody, thanks again for watching Practical Chrome, the show dedicated to everything Chrome. And we will see you next week at the same time, Tuesday at 10:10. Maybe not at the same time. We're working on that. But we'll see you next week at some point. Catch us on the YouTubes. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.